Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Donald Trump's reply brief in the DC Circuit for the immunity issue and the oral argument that's going to take place next Tuesday, the 9th. They are moving at warp speed for a court of appeals. Okay, so this is just in an appeal. He lost below, so he starts out. The DOJ responds, and he replies. It's called officially. That's the way it works. And now the table is set. An interesting, maybe the most interesting aspect of this reply brief. He begins with a separate jurisdictional, or as lawyers do, statement about the people have been listening to the last few days to these YouTubes. Heard me go into some length about a brief that's kind of come out of nowhere and might cast a very big shadow. We'll see come Tuesday. We'll be talking more about it. But it's a brief by this amicus group that says there's no jurisdiction for the Court of Appeals to consider this appeal from immunity because the Supreme Court unanimous ruling that came after U.S. versus Nixon, after Harlow versus Fitzgerald, makes it very strict and limited when you can have it, and a claim of immunity doesn't bring it. Okay, so he obviously sees this as a serious challenge because there's a whole initial new statement about jurisdiction that specifically addresses that. So that issue is really shaping up to be interesting. It's query what'll happen. Query, that's what lawyers say. But we might think about what will happen if the DOJ comes in and agrees and says, yes, there's jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is a very special kind of doctrine, and the court has to decide it on its own. So will both parties saying we think there is jurisdiction, don't worry about it, kind of quiet any concern, or will there be a pretty vigorous back and forth about it? But that's where Trump starts, and what he says is it's nothing particularly new. He just says it's under the sort of separation of powers, and that's kind of constitutional, which it is. But the opinion is much more severe and constrained. It says it's got to be a right not to go to trial given by a particular constitutional or statutory provision. And subsequent cases seem to limit that to just a few instances. For example, the double jeopardy clause, which says you shall not twice be tried for the same thing. The speech or debate clause, which says a member of Congress shall not be held. And that means, won't be subject to criminal prosecution for stuff they say and when they're debating in Congress, et cetera. So it doesn't advance the ball very much, and it's teed up. Okay, that's I'd say the most noteworthy aspect of the brief. After that, pretty much just repeats the things he's said before. Begins the lead argument is something that really I think is foolish, and no court will give much pause to. It says, we know since Marbury versus Madison that the judiciary can't oversee what the executive does, but a couple little points here. First, that whole doctrine is about discretionary acts by the executive. If the judiciary branch, if it's committed to the discretion of the executive, like whether to grant a pardon, whether to do a veto, there's no judicial review for it. And so that doesn't apply. And it's really not the judicial branch. I mean, the judge is here, but it's the executive branch that's bringing the case against Trump. But he makes that his sort of lead argument for immunity. And then, it's the stuff that we have seen before. So other than really kind of shining the spotlight on this new jurisdictional argument, the reply brief, clean enough, decently written, but really nothing particularly new. So now the table is set, And it's going to be very interesting oral argument next Tuesday. I think we won't be able to remember. You can't video broadcast live of federal court proceedings, but there may well be a live audio feed, and it'll be very interesting in particular to see what the court does with this jurisdictional argument, which they've ordered both parties to, have positions on. So we'll see what the DOJ has to say. Okay, new reply. So all the briefs are in, and DC Circuit moving very quickly. Argument next Tuesday, and should be a really interesting one. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.